Hey, and welcome to the Transition Discoveries Learning Series. This video is all about supporting post-secondary education for young people with disabilities. Let's talk about a few housekeeping items before we get started. First, this video is designed to be interactive, and that means that you're going to watch and at different points pause the video in order to reflect on content. After each pause, we'll continue with new content. The time points of these pauses are listed for you in the video description in case you have to start this video over at any point. All practice activities are going to be done within a worksheet that you'll need to download from Schoology prior to starting the video. The video will tell you when and what to work on in this activity worksheet. Finally, we recommend pausing the video if you need more time to engage with any of the visuals or text content shown. For this video, we'll cover evidence-based models of practice for supporting post-secondary goals and post-secondary achievement. We'll also cover post-secondary education quality sub-indicators according to the Transition Discoveries framework, which are the definitions, characteristics, and outcomes of those sub-indicators. And then we'll round everything out with research-based practices, strategies, and tools for supporting post-secondary goal attainment. Before we jump into today's content, take a moment to reflect on these two questions. Write your responses in the video worksheet. Now is a good time to pause the video and you can resume watching once you're done with these two questions. Post-secondary education represents a web of potential pathways that students can take, which may or may not involve participation in college-based programs. So post-secondary education really falls into three major domains, including training that is not affiliated with an institution of higher learning, college-based programs, and career technical education, which tends to blend both of these worlds together. A key evidence-based predictor of successful education and employment are programs and supports that work to bridge academic and career preparation between the secondary and post-secondary level. These include CTE and pre-college programs where students might earn credits toward a degree or certificate while still enrolled in high school. Pre-college programs are important for students to build their awareness of programs, services, and supports at the post-secondary level that best match their career goals and career pathways. In some instances, CTE provides career preparation where students complete academic content that is directly aligned with the knowledge requirements of a field, while they also participate in hands-on learning experiences in that field. Students might also take additional coursework to build their core academic knowledge and skills in mathematics and English language arts prior to beginning a post-secondary course of study. This is known as supported education, and some pre-college options like this provide additional tutoring, study skills training, college life skills support, and other training for transition students who enroll in community college and seek remedial courses before matriculating into a degree or certificate program. The goal is to make community college education and training an option for more transition-age students with disabilities and increase their success overall in college. Comprehensive transition programs are a post-secondary degree, certificate, or non-degree program sponsored by a college or career technical education center that is approved by the U.S. Department of Education, and it's designed to support students with intellectual disabilities as they continue to receive instruction in academic, career, and independent living skills that all in all help them gain meaningful employment. Think College has an excellent amount of resources available on options for CTP throughout the country, as well as information on their different structures and their application processes. While the completion of a 2- or 4-year post-secondary degree is often seen as the quintessential next step toward career preparation, the number of alternative labor market training programs within and outside of these institutions, which typically place emphasis on stackable credentials and certificates, has grown significantly in the past 10 to 15 years. The term stackable credential refers to a path of study where individuals take courses that prepare them to complete examinations for obtaining a field-recognized entry-level certification. Stacking comes in that this entry-level certification then allows them to complete a sequence of additional, increasingly more advanced or specialized certifications, all in the same field or career cluster. These credentials result from specialized, modified, and typically accelerated courses of study. And while their impact is dependent upon the field they are designed to support the development of employable knowledge and skills toward, credentials might also lead to more comprehensive professional certifications or licenses, and we know that these have increased value in the labor market. in terms of the experience behind this added value, individuals with stackable credentials can continually meet the elevated standards of the modern hiring process, which now more often includes screening for qualified workers according to whether they have one or more specific credentials. Job seekers with stackable credentials are also able to better meet the continually advancing professional qualifications and demands of competitive fields, which not only gets them in the door for an interview, it also supports their continued ability to maintain employment and climb the ladder in their respective careers. Vocational credentials are most often stacked in a hierarchical or progressive manner, meaning that credentials begin with core content or skills and prepare individuals for more advanced credentials later on. However, they can also be linked horizontally, where individuals obtain supplemental credentials that expand their subject matter expertise across domains of an occupational field. We often call this specialization. In addition, individuals seeking careers in fields without basic entry certifications might also obtain several independent but compatible credentials that together provide them the knowledge and skills they need for different positions within the same field. An example of this might be individuals in health sciences obtaining a patient care technician certificate and then later on becoming certified to be an EKG technician. These independent certificates support progress up a career ladder, but the focus on different skill areas means that this leads to different roles that require different responsibilities and different abilities. Imagine this process being more like climbing upward by going across the branches of a tree rather than equidistant rungs of a ladder. Some branches will be higher than others, so credentials gained will have different impacts depending on an individual's career trajectory. Vocational education is a sequence of courses that prepare students for a specific job or career at various levels, which might be trade or craft positions, all the way to technical, business, or professional high-level career positions. Within vocational education, there are many approaches and variants, and we'll focus on the most common, which are industry-specific credentials we've been talking about at length here during this video, and also apprenticeship programs. So apprenticeship is both a career pathway and a structure of career preparation. Apprenticeships are often sponsored by employers, labor groups, and employer associations, and they focus on individuals gaining entry-level employment into a field by participating in programs of study that include technical coursework, paid employment with a focus on hands-on learning under the supervision of field experts, and that typically counts toward relevant work experience in the field. The third component is receiving an industry-recognized credential. Career and technical education is a course of study designed to prepare students with the core academic, employability, and technical or job-specific skills required to obtain high-paying career track positions within in-demand fields. CTE incorporates challenging state-identified academic standards into lessons for building technical knowledge as well as employability skills. CTE follows a sequential model that progresses in content specificity and includes multiple entry and exit points that allow for initial and advanced certificate and credentialing, as well as degrees. Fundamental to CTE are the links between secondary and post-secondary education through opportunities for students to earn certificates while still in high school that seamlessly transfer to college programs in their career cluster. In a CTE model, students might begin by exploring a career cluster while also building their foundational skills and knowledge for a desired field. This leads them to both the ability to obtain a certificate for entry-level positions in a cluster, for example, information technology, and to continue their course of study with a focus on gaining credentials needed for obtaining high-level specialized positions within a specific pathway. So maybe if they're in IT, that could look like getting credentialed in network systems pathways, which would emphasize IT systems installation, administration, and design. Importantly, while students are still in high school, the course of study should lead to the ability to apply accumulated credits and field-based experience toward the completion of a 4-year or advanced degree within that career pathway. The program of study must be coordinated with broader career pathway systems as defined by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act in a way that supports stacking of credentials over time as students progress through post-secondary programs of study. So the question remains, what evidence-based approaches exist to support students transitioning to all these different post-secondary options and programs? The model of a program of study, while specifically designed and required as part of CTE through Perkins 5, provides us with a great deal of guidance on how post-secondary planning, career awareness and exploration, and curriculum for developing both academic and job-related skills can be aligned between high schools and post-secondary education or training programs. In a program of study, curriculum and instruction in high school are aligned to the relevant career readiness standards and prerequisite knowledge or skills for the career pathways that students are interested in pursuing. Assessments also need to inform students on their progress toward meeting post-secondary requirements by providing objective information on their attainment of industry-validated technical knowledge, employability skills, and relevant academic knowledge. Importantly, all students should have the opportunity to receive additional academic support and coaching while still in high school so that they can meet the academic expectations of the post-secondary programs aligned with their career pathway of interest. When all curriculum, instruction, and assessment are aligned to the requirements of post-secondary programs, training, and credentials, this continuity allows for credit transfer agreements and pre-college programs so that students can simultaneously earn prerequisite credits towards specific programs while also completing their secondary studies. However, we know that creating a course of study doesn't just end with aligning curriculum, instruction, and assessment at the high school level with the requirements and expectations of post-secondary programs. We need to support students in setting post-secondary goals that help them to identify the pathways that are right for them and then help them to navigate these pathways successfully. While this alignment of programmatic components is necessary for creating career track options, person-centered planning is the driving force that supports ongoing learning experiences in school and in the community that build a student's ability to set post-secondary goals and to make a plan to achieve them. Taking an evidence-based approach to supporting young people in their transition from high school to post-secondary education and training begins in high school with youth, families, and stakeholders working together to identify post-secondary goals for employment, adult learning, and independent living. And we know that these goals are strongly reliant on one another given that education influences an individual's career options, which then further influences their independent living goals. Not to mention that where and how young people want to live also impacts their options for continued learning and employment. Adult learning is also about achieving goals for personal growth, which might be knowledge, but it could also be building skills for living social and independent lives as young people define them. In all, translating these goals for employment, learning, and living into a pathway after high school requires teams of youth, families, and stakeholders to take this person-centered approach to considering post-secondary goals against the many factors shown here. It's important to consider programmatic factors such as admission requirements, funding, features of academic courses, which might include credit loads and course sequences, or prerequisites and required learning activities like internships. We also need to consider supports for career readiness, academic success, and supports for accommodations and modifications, as well as emotional and social well-being. Equally important are factors such as program outcomes and how they relate to a student's career goals, as well as factors such as options for housing and supports for inclusion within the campus and community that would align with their goals for independent living and community engagement. Whether it's a college or career preparation program, student success begins with coaching and mentoring driven by stakeholders implementing person-centered planning so that students build their awareness of their strengths, disability, preferences, and interests in relation to their career and post-secondary goals. Some ways that this might be done include honest conversations between students and their instructors, peers, and mentors, or activities such as completing graphic organizers and vision boards about their goals and their strengths and needs, research and reading about different topics related to potential careers, reflective journaling, and self-assessments. This should continue throughout a student's entire program of study until they feel that they have reached their academic, social, and employment goals. It's important to build self-awareness, but we've got to teach students how to put that knowledge to good use. The first step is students deciding on long-term academic, social, and employment goals that align with their strengths, disability, preference, and interest. An important part of this process is helping students learn how these goals are related to each other, and if not, working with them to help them align those goals. And we know that if we do this, we help students develop their self-determination skills. So reaching their post-secondary goals is a lot like building a road between two cities that represent where they are and where they want to end up, with that road being paved a few miles at a time, and each mile of that road representing a short-term goal towards their long-term post-secondary goals. We can help them figure out where to pave that road through ongoing coaching sessions, often where we'll work with them to identify a sequence of learning opportunities at the post-secondary level and within their community that help them to reach their goals. New opportunities should be identified as students achieve or change those goals over time. Once they know where their roads will go and what they'll be paved with, we've got to arm students with all of the tools, tricks, and strategies they need to independently pave that path forward themselves. This means that students need to learn how to use practical and relevant strategies as well as tools, and they also need to gain access to specific resources and supports aligned with their short-term and long-term goals for academic achievement, social growth, and successful employment. So this could be learning high or low-tech time management or organizational strategies, as well as how to self-advocate and socialize with peers, instructors, and stakeholders who can support them. The final piece of this puzzle is ongoing academic, social, and employment-related assessment data that's collected and reviewed by students, instructors, mentors, and employers. This needs to be collected to support student knowledge of their progress so they know where they started, where they are now, and what needs to happen to help them where they want to go. Students want to become experts in making sure that this path forward is clear and it leads them directly where they want to end up. And if they get off track, they want to have the skills to help themselves get back on that road. It's our job to be there to support them on that journey of trial, error, self-reflection, and ultimately achieving these post-secondary goals. At the post-secondary level, family engagement revolves around two major factors: who's driving and staying in the loop. Students should always have the first and final decision over what their parents' involvement will and will not include in their post-secondary plans, and in turn, parents need to be fully informed of their rights and responsibilities under FERPA. Students, families, and programs should collaborate frequently to ensure that family members have access to resources, effective advocacy, and transition planning supports that align with their young person's post-secondary goals. Our fourth pillar of successful post-secondary support relates to integrating UDL into opportunities for learning and coaching that are all aligned with the academic and career goals of our students. Engagement focuses on empowering students to take control of the purpose and path of their learning. It also includes providing access to learning experiences that prioritize building knowledge and skills for a desired career, as well as varying the social demands required for learning and performance of those skills or knowledge. We also need to pay close attention to varying the perceived level of support and protection, as well as the requirements for public display and evaluation of academic and career-specific skills or knowledge. Representation emphasizes opportunities for students to interact with flexible content that doesn't depend on a single sense like sight, hearing, movement, or touch. And finally, action and expression is supported when demonstrating growth or mastery is accepted by instructors in multiple media such as text, speech, illustration, design, video. And at the same time, students need to build fluencies with graduated levels of support for practice and performance through all these different types of modalities for expression. Career readiness, what's it all about? Well, first and foremost, it's about working it out. So students need opportunities for preparation for and participation in paid and unpaid experiences that directly relate to their course of study and their desired career goals. Students also need to build connections with community partners, such as vocational rehabilitation and other adult service providers, to prepare for and sustain employment that aligns with their programs of study. Finally, feedback loops are key. The collection of objective evaluation data on students' academic and employment growth, as well as chances for students to evaluate progress, are critical so that they can make informed decisions about their plans and adjust their trajectory towards their career goals and their post-secondary goals. Alright, so it's time for our second and final pause of practice. Open up that video worksheet that you've been working on previously in this video and complete the 2 questions here. Once you've completed those questions, resume the video and we'll finish up with the rest of our content. All of the sub-indicators that we've been talking about throughout this video are directly aligned to the PA career education and work standards. This is particularly important considering the emphasis that we need to place on aligning our curriculum, instruction, and assessment between the secondary and post-secondary levels. Take a few moments now to read through these standards that today's content are aligned with. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thanks for taking the time to watch.